Good day, everybody. My name is Dr. Francois Tessier. I'm CEO of the Center for Complementary Therapy and Pain Management in Sri Lanka. And welcome again to this series of Zoom interview where we discover the most amazing doctors and therapists practicing complementary therapies worldwide. Today, our guest is very special. Today, our guest is Dr. Suzanne Campbell-Fournel. She is an independent health and wellness coach in Montreal, Canada. The main goal of Dr. Suzanne is to help people discover the critical link between what they eat and how they feel. She is a former school psychologist, a trainer, counselor with 30 years of experience. And Dr. Suzanne also holds a Master of Education Psychology from McGill University. And she's a lean health educator coach. Dr. Suzanne became interested in nutrition and its impact on performance and achievement while working with elementary school children and young athletes. Working with children and adolescents and adults to achieve nutritional excellence and healthy lifestyle has been her focus for the past 10 years. As a consultant, she has provided stress management training program for managers of Fortune 500 companies with an emphasis on exercise and nutrition. As co-owner of a hockey league franchise, Dr. Suzanne also mentored elite young athletes to achieve their goal through a balanced skill development, nutritional awareness, and mental focus. Well, Dr. Suzanne is passionate about helping others achieve their goal and realize their purpose of life. The key element is understanding the role that nutrition plays in the journey towards the optimal achievement. But there is much, much more to say about Dr. Suzanne. It's about limitless. Her interest is like to the moon. So, Dr. Suzanne, I would like to welcome you very warmly. I'm very happy to have you with us and sharing your wisdom and your approach. That's a pleasure to be with us today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here across the planet and joining my dear friend, Dr. Francois. I missed you so much here in Montreal.
Yes. All right. So we'll start this interview, Dr. Suzanne, with your journey, because your profile shows that you navigated through so many sectors. You started from education to psychology to business coaching to athlete coaching to wellness to vertical gardening to healthy nutritional juice and now mainly to nutrition. Well, Dr. Suzanne, what a journey you have. So please tell me a little bit about your main poles of your professional career.
Well, I started out my career in Michigan. I'm from the States, but I've been a happy citizen of Canada for over 50 years. So my journey started really at Vanier College. I was teaching there as a head of the department of the special care counseling department. And more becoming aware of how performance lifestyle was impacting some of the students' ability to reach their potential at the college level. And of course, at the same time, I'm working in the schools, and a principal would say, you need to assess little Stevie. And there's Stevie, and Stevie hasn't had any breakfast, and he's not had any lunch. And coming to find out, he's having trouble in school, not because little Stevie is a problem, he hasn't been nourished. Oh. So nutrition just is nagging there in the background of all of the endeavors I was involved with, from children to students to athletes. And even sport nutrition didn't become a business until about 20 years ago. So it's when I was aware of myself. At one point in my life, I was only like I knew I had to drink coffee to stay up all night to get a paper done at university. And then and that was like the first awareness. And then I grew
Yourself.
up on a farm.
You develop this awareness by yourself, isn't it?
Right, right. And then I thought, well, I'm not eating like I did as a kid. So I went back to eating as I did when I grew up on the farm in Michigan, and whole natural foods. And as I worked with families and their challenges with their children, let's take a look at what the family has consumed nutritionally. And it's something that's been packaged, something that has been picked up at the fast food. So we're looking at lots of chemicals coming into a body that the body was not designed to have. We're designed to have good, whole nutrition. So the last years of my life are dedicated to mission nutrition.
Oh, yeah. But there is a very special aspect of nutrition that not much of nutritionists have, which is the energy aspect of it. And I'm myself an energy healing therapist. And I think that this is an amazing approach that you have. Can you speak to us about that? How come can you match energy, universal energy, chi, prana, to nutrition? Because there is no other nutritionist that is using this approach, no?
Well, I think there are maybe a few, but I would say those seeds were planted, and pardon the pun, when I grew up on the farm. And you're out there in the garden with the fresh spinach and the fresh vegetables, and the sun is coming in, and you can just feel it from the earth on your bare toes, right through the top of your head, the sun coming in, and that connection is so powerful. And I moved away from that as you become urbanized and separated from that fresh component of food. And it wasn't until I began to do more research to say, we've got to get back to whole food nutrition. We need to get back to this, and you begin to see the connection that universal energy comes into that fresh food. And as early as you can consume that, the quicker that energy is coming in. And there's a part of acknowledging that. My research took me into...
We are also absorbing energy through the food, right? Universal energy, prana, chi, whatever it is,
right.
We also absorb it through the food.
Right. And you take something like a processed cereal, like a Rice Krispie or something, the energy has been totally emptied out of it. It's gone. It's gone. That sunlight, that energy from the universe has been manufactured out of it. So that it's very hard for the human body to connect with that. It's flat. It's not healing you. Our body is the house of the soul, and that soul needs to be nourished from that whole food energy that comes in through that apple, through that orange, banana, the pineapple, the beautiful fruits that you have in Sri Lanka that we don't have here in Canada. So you're getting energy.
Well, explain me the process. Explain me how does it work? Because we know that sun is impacting on the growth of the food, that the earth is impacting, but how does it work energy-wise? How can you involve, how can you explain the energy aspect of it? Are you talking about sun prana? Are you talking about ground prana? Explain me, well, how does it work?
I'm looking at the real basic of the plant, and I remember one of my professors, a native person, that said anyone that does not eat animals because of the spirit, and it's a thought of not eating animal because of the spirit, you have to also acknowledge as the native of here in Canada, acknowledge that there's a spirit in the food, in the plants, and acknowledging that a tree has a spirit. Modern technology has allowed us to even put electrodes on the trees, and we can hear them communicating to one another. That energy and the spirit of the tree, that trees communicate, they can communicate. So if you walk through the forest, you almost have a forest bathing of that energy. We know the sun has transformed it through the process of photosynthesis. The energy that is there, that gets transformed, it's a transformational energy. It's at the very entering into your crown chakra, coming through. And as you consume, and you can consume foods to meet all the various needs of your chakras, your root chakra, your heart chakra, and that food will help you. If that's if you're a broken heart, you're eating green foods, because that green energy will heal and reinforce those areas of the body, of the heart. Or if you're looking at an area around the throat where maybe you're having an issue with the throat area, that you would be eating the blue and eating those, bringing in that energy into your body so that it can transform it. It's miraculous how that...
You connect the colors of the chakra with the colors of the food, right?
Yes, yes, that's one of the ways. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh. And have you observed it as a therapist yourself? Are you using this approach? Because tell me also that you're a nutritionist consultant now, and sometimes you work with patients. Are you using this approach, Dr. Suzanne, when you are working with patients? And what is the result of this?
Well, this is interesting. As you know, in the North American culture, sometimes when you talk about eating the colors of the chakra or bringing in the energy of food, they kind of like, okay, we don't need any of that fancy dancy stuff. So
they refuse.
Yeah. So I move gradually and say, okay, I need for you in your menu plan this week, as we plan a menu, to be eating. If the person has said they have a lot of problems with their stomach, well, then we're going to look at eating foods that will help with that sacral area. If we're having someone that's so making sure that they're able to eat those colors, and then they'll say, wow, I had such a good week, I'm feeling much more positive. So I see the results even if they're not acknowledging how that's happening. If I can work with someone that's a little more open-minded, and say, take a moment, I would like you to take a moment to reflect on the energy of this food that you are about to take in.
Yes.
And honor that energy from the universe. They have a little more profound experience. There was a research.
You don't need to tell them.
Pardon?
You don't need to tell them that you are eating the color of your chakra. Sometimes the people may not be ready to listen to that, no?
Yes, yes. So for example, this taking a moment to reflect on what you're eating. Let's say I've suggested a menu plan that includes lots of reds and lots of green and blue in their intake. They get to choose which vegetables and fruits will meet that criteria.
Yes.
One of the things that research was done, and of course they always do these at the universities with university students, where they had a test group of 40 students. 20 went in, and it was a reverse. So this was the research design. 20 students were given food and were asked to wait 1 minute before they started, the food was placed in front of them, wait 1 minute, and before they started to consume the food. They could pray, they could think, they could do whatever. They could take in the smell, and they were asked to eat. The other control group of 20, given their food, and they ate right away. They tested the control groups an hour after eating, looking at blood sugar levels, at digestive issues, and they found that those that were waiting, and they didn't ask what they did while they waited that 1 minute, that their digestion, that their ability to, their sugar levels were much better than those that received the food and started eating immediately.
It's completely
They reversed. So they reversed it. The 20 that could eat immediately were now placed in the group that had to wait. The group that had to wait,
okay, they reversed.
Were switched. Same results. That once you were asked to wait, and whether you were enjoying the smell, because smell is a big part of it's energy. A smell is an energy. Did that start a process? Did they meditate? Did they give thanks to the Great Spirit?
You don't know.
What we don't know what they did, but we do know that it impacted blood sugar levels and digestion process.
That's interesting.
The test they did.
Was it a study that was published?
Yes, yes.
They published, huh? So just by waiting and maybe praying or maybe meditating or at least looking at the food and waiting before to eat, there is a difference as opposed to when you are eating immediately, right?
Correct.
So that's amazing. I know, Dr. Suzanne, that you are also working with doctors, right? And these doctors, they perfectly know who you are and your approach. Can you share a little bit of your experience that you are having with these in clinics, literally? What is this experience, the relationship with you and the doctor, the complementary approach that is involved? Can you talk about that a little bit?
What I do basically is offer a series of workshops with the physician that wants me to work with his clients. So typically we have 6 people. If the person's married, it's really good that they have their partner come and join them, because often the relationship one has with food can also impact your personal relationship. So typically we have a workshop. I run a workshop for them, a 5-week workshop that is in the evening and we go through the various aspects of eating. And of course, with the medical doctors, we talk about eating the colors of the rainbow on a regular basis.
Yes.
They can handle the rainbow. Once in a while, I have one person I work with that I can talk about eating the colors of the chakra, and they understand.
Yes.
Because they're practicing yoga.
They're basically the color of the rainbow also, no?
Yeah. So basically, it's a 5-week program, 10 hours, and it's done weekly, so people can check in. They're given homework. They do a journal, because a lot of eating disorders, medical concerns happen because of the relationship someone has developed with food. And that's where one of your questions is talk about addictions. We look at what is your relationship with food. And when someone is 200 pounds overweight and says, I need to have a bypass. I can't control it. They need to deal with those issues around food. And those usually came in through some childhood, some trauma, some type of need for healing, and that's when real healing
Yes,
needs
yes.
to happen.
There
Yeah.
is one particular food that is known to be very much addictive, and not only this, but very damaging for the body. It is sugar. So I'm jumping now into the one of your dada, the sugar. Can you talk? I know very much.
Well, I'd like to.
Tell us
Yeah.
about sugar, how bad it is.
Well, I'm going to just say the 3 addictions that we find when it comes to food is sugar, fats, and salts. Those 3 are powerful and they impact the body in such a negative way.
Why is
The
that?
difficulty is that the body needs sugar. The brain cannot function without glucose. I mean, we have to have sugar, we have to have fat, and we have to have salt because we're seawater. Uh, our body is mostly salt water. So the things that can damage us are also the things that we need for survival. So these food addictions, sugar, fats, and salts, are really, really difficult. Whereas an addiction to cigarettes, that's a foreign object. But the sugar, fats, and salts are things that the body needs, but in excess and the way they've been processed, it damages the body.
Yes, yes. Which one is the worst?
So I would say all of them are worse, you know, because one of I suppose people think, oh, well, I don't have a lot of sugar. We'll focus on sugar. I don't have a lot of sugar. And I say, well, let's look at your diet. And it's true. The person has written down that they don't have dessert because we think of sugar and dessert. Sugar, ice cream. But sugar is rice. Sugar is wheat.
Yes.
Sugar is corn. Sugar is potatoes.
Sugar is everywhere.
So the starch, you think it's a good thing for you. Good, absolutely. We need the energy of that starch. But we also need to balance it with those vegetables that will offset the impact of that sugar. And
Yes.
so what happens is that we get an overload of all of these, which people forget are sugars, and the poor little pancreas. I mean, you have to have a relationship with your organs and say to the pancreas, you know, I'm really sorry I had that chocolate bar, and I will really make up for it because this is really not good for me. And I know that I've really put you on overload and you're working hard today. So I will, so have a fun relationship with your body and
This
think
is the
about,
part, this is your counseling part also. No, there is
yes,
emotional eating. And when you are working with patients that are facing these reality, you start to do some counseling, not just nutritional, but emotional counseling. So there is your two, I would say, skills are mixed together, isn't it?
yes, very much so. Because I think there's been such a disconnect with food and the body, how we feel. And I think there's a disconnect to thinking, oh, I had that candy bar, I had that apple. How does that affect me? And people will say, oh, I can't eat this or I can't eat that, only because at a digestive level, they get acid reflux, they have problems. So that's the only level, but they forget about all the miraculous organs of the liver, the pancreas, the kidneys, the intestine, the villi, that are all working day by day, hour by hour, to keep us healthy. And now more and more research showing how what sits in our intestine, in our gut,
Mm.
we have more bacterial cells in our gut than we have human body cells in our body.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if that's not healthy, we can't be healthy. And it's trying to make that mind, soul, spirit connection to the food. And if
Yeah.
you connect with the spirit of that food, mindful, I did a meditation with some high school kids the other day, last fall, before all this happened. And I had them, they had gone apple picking. So we had apples. And I had them hold an apple and we did a meditation with the apple. And I wanted them to think that the apple was full of 1,000 cells just waiting to help them be healthy. That this apple is, the universe gave you this apple. It came from nothing. And it came out of the universe and the energy, and that's there to help you be healthy. And that apple is not something to be taken for granted. It's there. And the kids afterwards were hugging me and saying, "This is great. I never thought of an apple that way." And I left them all with a big bushel of apples. Could we have more? And to me, it's that simple helping them make that connection.
Yes. So this is what you just said at the beginning. You reconnect the person with the food, and isn't it using awareness, as we previously mentioned? They become aware so they can make the connection. Huh? Does the behavior change after a certain period of time? How do you achieve the goal of helping them to completely finish this addiction? Did you achieve that goal?
With some, of course, that's where you get your psychology comes in.
Yes.
And someone like yourself would really be helpful. That there are some people that I have to come to realize are open to making that change, and I can guide them and help them through that change. There are some that are so attached to their being sick or needy, I don't know how else, unhealthy. They're unhealthy, wear this unhealthy badge. You know, I'm unhealthy. Everybody in my family was overweight. Everyone in my family had kidney stones. They wear that badge. And they have to give up something psychologically before they can make that breakthrough. So I would say there are some clients that I work with that it's just beautiful to watch them evolve and make the change and enjoy making. The other day we made avocado gluten-free flatbread with cilantro. It's good. To experiment with healthy things. You don't need to buy a packaged, processed with, as soon as it's packaged, it has to have preservatives in it, chemicals. It's gone through a bunch of machinery. They all come out looking perfect. So
I believe that it's not necessarily becoming automatically, however. Huh? It's a process. You have to work progressively with them, no?
Yes. And unfortunately, in the North American culture of today, they want instant gratification. I want to change instantly. Well, it took you a lifetime to get here. Let's hope it doesn't take you the rest of your lifetime to get there, but it's a commitment that you make to change. I made, I thought I was eating very well. And about 17 years ago, I made a decision. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I made it about 16 years. I made a decision that I had gone through the regular medical doctors. Your cholesterol's high, and you're going to have to go on this pill, and you got a heart, you have a mitral valve heart problem. You're going to need the cardio cocktail. And I thought, ooh, I don't want to go down that road. Those medications all have some tremendously bad side effects. I want to ski, I want to hike, I want to be healthy. I want to dance at my grandson's wedding. I turn 79 next month, and I want to continue on being able to go on as much as I can. So 16 years ago, I made a commitment to really being able to manage. I could have grabbed onto that, oh yeah, everybody in my family's got a mitral valve problem, and yeah, everybody in my family's got kidney stones, and everybody in my family's got no. I said, no, this is the journey I am on, and did the research. That's when I started my training in nutritional education. I thought, well, if I'm going to learn about nutrition, I'm going to also get certified to be able to share this with others. And so that's where I made that commitment. And I found that being able to put the two together helps people.
Right. So Susan, there is two other area I'd like to talk about, the Juice Plus and also the vertical garden. We're gonna run out of time. I think we have to meet again, but you jumped into this business like a fish in a tank. So talk to us about the Juice Plus adventure that you're doing.
Okay, well, let me tell you, I was, as I said, I grew up on a farm. So whole food nutrition was really, really important. My grandmother had a huge garden, and all was very important part of my life. And I'm connected with that. And then over the years as a school psychologist, I've been asked by various supplement companies to endorse products, and quite frankly, they didn't have good, sound, gold standard research where it's placebo controlled. To me, that was extremely important. And so all those brochures would go into a circular file. And as I said, 16 years ago, when I started to say, okay, I'm really not going to take this cardio cocktail or the Lipitor and all that stuff, that's when I made a commitment to revisit some of these supplements. And Juice Plus is just fruits, vegetables that have been dried and put in a capsule. They are not considered in most jurisdictions as a drug or come under the the vitamins that you see they would be sold in a grocery store if they could be sold in a store, because they're food. It's a food.
Right.
So I say it's a complement. So those that have a hard time getting 10 to 12 raw fruits and vegetables into their dietary practice, it's something that I can help clients complement their nutritional intake. And along with that, as whole food, I can encourage clients to grow their own indoors all year long with the Juice Plus Tower Garden that was developed at the Epcot Center.
Yes.
So the Juice Plus not only has you growing your own in your home, but also getting whole food, which is completely different than an isolated, chemically produced vitamin.
Yeah. But
so that's the big difference.
What is most of the people may not know when we're talking about the vertical garden. That's an amazing concept. So talk to us about that.
Well, it was developed at Epcot for NASA, trying to find a fast way to grow foods, fresh produce, because fresh produce is really important for to sustain the human body. So it's an aeroponic system. Most growing systems are hydroponic,
means the roots lay in water continually. And you harvest from those plants with their roots. The roots get air. So they only are bathed with water 15 minutes every hour. So the water comes from a reservoir, and I have to explain that. So the produce grows 30% faster. I can put a seedling in my tower, and in 4 weeks, I will have kale that I can produce. That's what I did for one of my workshops at the conference 3 years ago. I planted kale, and by the time I had 4 weeks, I had kale to make fresh smoothies with the kale and salads. So it's amazing. It's great as an educational tool. We have 6 in the schools in Ville Saint Laurent here in Montreal, and 1 up in St. Agathe. So it's been just great.
Children might be crazy about that, huh?
Oh, amazing. One, the kids call me Mrs. Garden, and one had basil. He ate fresh basil for the first time at 14 years old. He said, "Do you know how good this is?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I never had it before." 14, he's never had fresh basil. So it's a gift.
Yeah. What is the quality of the food that comes out of that? Did you analyze that, or there is?
Yes, it's been analyzed. They did an analysis at the University of Tennessee, comparing that to soil gardening and the aeroponic. The nutritional value is intact. The same as a hydroponic. Nutritional values are intact because they use earth minerals as a growing medium. Yeah.
So
yeah.
and the
so
taste
it's fabulous.
The taste is the same, but how does it look like?
Oh, I don't have an image. I'll send you an image.
Make another presentation, doctor, to do that. No.
Yes. I will do that. But the taste of it, I'll tell you, my grandson, who was 16, and you know how 16-year-olds, they want to pump up and make their muscles strong. And the Tower Garden was on the deck, and he went over and he broke off some kale, and he was eating it after his workout. And he said, "Mommy, how come this kale tastes sweeter?" I said, "Because it hasn't been laying in a grocery store. It hasn't traveled 3,000 miles, and you've eaten live, fresh cells." So you're getting the good sweetness of the universal energy that is coming into your body immediately. And your body finds that sweet.
And that's different.
The natural vegetable sugars.
The taste is different because of this, because of the freshness.
The freshness, absolutely. Yes.
So how does it look like? Is it it's a tower? Describe how this tower looks like.
Well, there's a reservoir of water. It's in a stand, okay? It's a vertical, it's food grade plastics that the tower consists of. There are 5 modules, 4 plants per module, and each in that module, the root hangs down in the center of this cylinder because it's stacked. And then within 4 weeks, you're able to harvest. So I will be happy to send you, I'll send you some pictures. You can go on the website, on my website, and see the, click on Tower Garden, and you'll be able to see that.
To see it. We have to meet again, doctor, and see how it works, and you can talk to us about that, because that's very interesting. The last topic I would like to talk about is your work with Fortune 500 companies. What were you doing with these people? What kind of coaching were you doing?
Oh, at that time, that was my early stage. And actually, it was because of my work with General Motors. I was doing stress management for their management team, their leaders, the people that were head of a manufacturing division, and these workshops would last all day for 4 days. We were doing stress mapping, identifying stressors, I said to them, you cannot have stress reduction. It's managing. Living is and can be stressful. It's how you manage it, how you manage the tasks of life. So that's what I was doing. And they were sending in Coca-Cola. Oh, I shouldn't say that. They were sending in soft drinks and
Too late.
sweets. I said Coca-Cola, I was going to say. They were sending in all kinds of soft drinks and sweets during break time. So I said, these are stressors. These are sugary stressors. So they said, well, give us your rationale why we should have a tray of fruit or a tray of vegetables. So that sent me on, you have to prove to the decision makers that this is what's important. So it took a lot of back and forth. And I thought, well, I'm doing all this research, I'm going to learn more about nutrition. So that was one of my first insights into, is I'm delivering a stress management program for the automotive industry, that I need to have some backup here on nutrition, because so afterwards, as General Motors did more and more workshops, they were having more fruit and vegetable plates rather than the stressful food that they thought. But how many organizations, they can't have an event without some sweet treat? And I said, you're making each other sick. You cannot have this. Put out a basket of apples. Put out some oranges.
Fruits.
If you feel you have to have a treat.
Yes. So, well,
That's my work. Yeah.
this is how everything started, because fruits,
Yes.
I mean, sweets, sugar, actually what we know in energy healing is tapping into your native chi. And instead of feeding yourself with energy, is emptying your vital chi, your vital prana. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when you're finished, when the vital prana is finished to be expressed, you're exhausted. There is a downside of it, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Terrible. One of my rationale was saying, you're giving these guys at 2:00 in the afternoon all these sweets, and I'm supposed to finish a workshop at 5. They're all going to be asleep in an hour at 3:00. So you've just wasted my fee, my money, and my time, because for 2 hours they're finished. They're done. They can't absorb anything.
Because they are sleeping.
I had to put it to them in an economical perspective, saying, you're wasting your money. It's the same thing at the school, when I said to the school, they've got these machines where the kids can they'll go and pick up a fast some of these fast drinks, energy drinks.
Yes.
And they're not having food, and then they crash. And I said, it's a waste of time. You're trying to teach a brain that can't even think, because it's not been given good sugar.
Mm.
The brain needs the sugar,
Mm.
but it's not been given nature's sugar from an apple or an orange, a beautiful sugar.
The impact of the use of sugar, and we know science is now positive about that. Too much sugar leads to cancer, leads to so many diseases. So I guess that you will approve this. No, what is the link between sugar consumption and disease?
Oh, well, sugar consumption, as I was telling kids, it's to try to understand the concept of why we have so many children that are diabetic, is that the poor little pancreas works really, really hard to produce insulin. And sugar needs to get into your cells. You need it to think, but it's got to be good sugar. And so pancreas, the sugar can't get in. It needs to have its friend, insulin, be with it as it knocks on a cell door. And you knock on the door and you don't have insulin with you, or you can't get in.
Oh.
And so therefore you might be stored in a fat cell, and then another fat cell and another fat cell. So the compounded health issues between, because people are saying, oh, obesity is one of the biggest problems with cancer. Yes. And where does obesity come from? Sugar.
Sugar.
Too much of it, so it gets stored into a fat cell because the body doesn't know what else to do with it.
Yes.
You've not used it up, so it's going to hang out there. Right now, I heard that the higher death rates with COVID are people that are overweight, and again, they're overweight because of the sugar addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because I have a friend at university. That's one of the things when you have knowledge and you can't help people you love and are friends of yours. She was a physical education teacher, was able to manage all of her life, and all of a sudden, with a traumatic situation, has let herself go, and sugar is her drug of choice. She doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, but sugar's her drug of choice.
Oh.
To the point where I get into her car and you can see that she's hidden the candy bar wrappers under the seats and tucked away, hidden away. But yet if you eat with her, yeah. So it's an addiction. It's the hidden addiction that is killing everybody in the planet.
As opposed to being bad, there is an approach that says that you can, if not cure, at least support in a very important manner health with nutrition. So nutrition is like support and medication, if not sometimes preventing to be sick. What do you have to say about that?
In terms of prevention?
Yeah, in terms of prevention and even some curing. Can appropriate nutrition can cure disease or can help to support the health of patients suffering from, for example, cancer? There is lots of book about food and cancer, for example.
Oh,
what
yes.
do you think about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. To the point that we find even now, food is impacting profoundly our genetic manifestation. We do not have people say, oh, I'm overweight because everybody in my family is overweight. You do not need to manifest genes that are, and how they're finding now with epigenetics is that your food, the food that you're taking in, is changing your genetic structure, therefore impacting generations. So what we're seeing now with the obesity is really results of how people have eaten for the last 50 years, when the new food processing, the Betty Crocker, the General Foods, all of the huge food manufacturing, and it's food manufacturing, and it's not even food, it's I don't even what you call it, consumable manufacturing, because there's not much food left in what you're consuming.
Yes.
It impacts your genetics, it impacts your health, and we know that diet can turn things around.
Yes.
There's two of my professors, Dr. Esselstyn from the Cleveland Clinic. He talks about reversing cardiovascular disease. Some interesting research that he did retro on the Scandinavian countries. When the Germans invaded, the native people there, I'm talking about the Scandinavian people, they had no longer access to meat and poultry and dairy. They had to only eat from their gardens because the Nazis took over all of the farms and the food and ate all the rich food. So the heart disease diminished during those years that the Scandinavian population had to eat from their gardens. Once the Nazis left, heart disease went up again because they now had access to all the fat, the cream, the dairy, the meats. So Dr. Esselstyn, you can reverse cardiovascular disease.
Yes.
Another one of my professors, Dr. Neil, that he has written about reversing diabetes.
Yes.
A wonderful movement called Forks Over Knives, an excellent movement that promotes the well-being. Dr. T. Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study, excellent work that demonstrates scientifically that food can impact and you can change and reverse.
Yeah.
Reverse any diagnosis you've been given.
Yes. Another topic that you love also, because I know you very well, Dr. Suzanne, meat eating. What is the impact on eating meat on health, and what is the impact, positive or negative, on not eating meat? Because there is a lot of, there is an international movement that we are calling now veganism. It's not even vegetarian, it's veganism. Can you talk about meat and the impact on health?
Well, interesting enough, you're asking me that question. I just listened to Dr. Katz from the Yale Preventive Medicine on the weekend, and he talked about it. It said, change your beef for beans. That if you want to be healthy in today's world and you want to take care of the planet, because we're looking at this a whole phenomena of eco-anxiety where people are concerned about the planet. So there are a couple things. In terms of the human body, we're designed to really be plant eaters. Even our dental structure is designed to be more plant than animal. So I am concerned when a client said, "Okay, I'm going to be a vegan. I'm not going to eat any meat anymore." And so let me give you a little case study.
Yeah.
I was working with a young teen, and this is where you have to put the psychology and nutrition together. This young teen's parents were separated. So she was back and forth, once with the father, once with the mother. So she had declared herself being vegan. So the parent wanted me to work with their daughter. And I kept asking her to do a food log. I would meet with her. I met with the mother and the daughter. Then I met with the father and the daughter. And the daughter had declared herself vegan, basically to be a point of anger between the parents. It was the only thing this little 14-year-old could control, was what she put in her mouth. She wasn't going to allow the two adults that were fighting, and now she got them fighting about her rather than whatever else they were fighting about. So it was a whole diversion technique subconsciously on her part. But this is what she did. It was, I think, a fad among her friends. So looking at what she was eating, it was not healthy. What she saw was a beige diet. So when we get into the colors, she was eating hummus, toast, oatmeal, everything beige. French fries.
Beige.
French fries. She had a beige diet. And I said, that's all vegan, but it's not healthy. And much of it was processed. So the kids really have to understand, if someone is going to go into that diet, they have to understand that their body needs all those colors of the rainbow, not just beige. They need red, green, yellow, orange, purple, blue. And they need to have a variety of fruits, vegetables, legumes. So when you're saying, what do you want to be later in your life? Well, I want to be a basketball player. I want to have children. I want to have a career. I want to do this. I said, well, this body that you're feeding right now is not going to be able to do that. You need protein, you need calcium, and you can get this all from plants beautifully. Mother Nature figured out that beans, for years, for centuries, has kept primitive man alive when they couldn't find and hunt and find something, or fish and find something, that the legumes were giving them their proteins. The legumes were giving them what they needed. So you can manage it very well and be healthy for a lifetime. We have professional athletes that are vegan and perform very well.
So that's a very interesting subject, also very delicate one, because there is also a dependency to meat, to milk product, which we could also jump in, because people are addicted to their milk. They're addicted to their meat. And there is a scientific controversy against, for example, milk. That's another subject.
Yeah, there's a whole nother.
There is, we could do four.
The China study, that'll do you on the milk, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, but people told me, some of my patients told me, better I die than being cut from milk. So that's
and I think in the thing that's the worst of all, that breaks my heart, when I see sweetened condensed milk has been out of my pantry for 40 years. I first heard of how bad it was. Oh, wait a minute, I'm 79. Yeah, I would say I was about 36 when I said, oh my gosh, that stuff is bad. It is one of the biggest exports of the US to all countries that they considered. Well, now I consider the US a third world country. But they were exporting their bad health and bad habits. So people can't make rice pudding without sweetened condensed milk. Yes, you can. You can make it without sweetened condensed milk, but they're convinced that they can only make their rice pudding with sweetened condensed milk. One of the worst things that you can consume.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Suzanne, promise me that we can meet again and talk about these garden and all other fantastic topics. There is so much to tell about nutrition, because this is a basic part of our life, no? And you are using it. You are using the psychology component with the nutritional, scientific aspect and the energy aspect. It's quite holistic, right? This is something holistic.
Yes.
And nobody is talking about the spirit of an apple. I think you're the first person in the earth that told me that the apple has a spirit. I'm so happy.
A beautiful one.
Yeah, beautiful spirit. Such as you. Thank you very much, Dr. Suzanne. And we are going to meet again. I want to hear more about these vertical gardens, because that's a whole story. That's a very amazing project, right?
Well, I would, I'm honored to be a part of your guest speakers, and I would be happy to do the whole presentation I have on spiritual nutrition. So we're happy to collaborate.
We have maybe many more interviews that are coming.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll meet again very soon. We'll talk about those fascinating subjects because you have so much to say. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and I will see you soon.
Best of luck.
Thank you.